A secure military compound far from public view stood silent beneath a gray sky as the wind pushed against the steel walls inside the briefing chamber. The best of the best Delta Force operators gathered for a mission that not even they fully understood. Mysterious orders had been delivered with urgent classification level highest priority. A legend was rumored to be joining them, though no one believed such tales anymore. The operators sat with confident stares ready to judge whoever was about to walk through the door. Some leaned back in their seats, arms crossed. Others whispered their doubts, wondering why outsiders were even needed. The room smelled of gun oil, and determination maps displayed enemy territory flickering under dim lights. Suddenly the door opened with a slow, heavy creak, and footsteps echoed. Everyone turned to look, and their confident expressions faltered. For a moment they saw a man enter with a measured pace, relying on a reinforced prosthetic leg that clicked softly with every step. His hair carried streaks of age. His frame looked hardened by battles, long finished. His uniform was simple, lacking any rank symbols, but his aura demanded respect without asking. His eyes, sharp, calm, and unreadable, scanned the room like a soldier who had seen every kind of battlefield. The commander acknowledged him with a nod, but the veteran chose not to sit. He remained standing like a warrior reporting for duty. One operator raised a brow, skeptical. The mission ahead required unmatched physical ability, and the newcomer seemed damaged, broken by war, before the team even understood the reason for his inclusion. One soldier, with impatience edging his tone, asked for his call sign. The veteran stared at him for a moment, then spoke two words: Titan 3. Every heartbeat in the room seemed to stop. The operators exchanged stunned looks, as if a ghost had materialized before them. No one expected that name, not here, not ever again. Legends about Titan 3 existed like war stories that commanders never printed, but whispered only to those who had earned the right to know. Tales of a man who took missions so dangerous, even the boldest forces refused them. A phantom who completed objectives after entire teams fell around him, who crawled bleeding if necessary to ensure victory. A warrior who carried more sacrifice in his bones than most soldiers would experience in a lifetime. They believed he disappeared long ago, taken by a blast in a classified operation, a myth buried beneath rubble and silence. Yet now he stood here, alive, ready to step into battle once more. The commander tried to steady his voice as he confirmed his identity: Titan 3. Simply nodded, then reached to unzip his jacket, revealing not a standard uniform, but a field shirt stitched with scars, medals pinned directly into the fabric like proof etched into flesh. More chilling were the scars carved across his chest and arm, stories of wounds that should have ended his life. Yet he kept surviving. The operators no longer saw a disabled veteran. They saw an indestructible force, a man forged in fire and rebuilt, not by metal but by relentless will. He told them he did not come seeking honor, nor redemption. He was here because the mission required someone who had already lived through hell and returned with hell still burning inside. Silence thickened around them, but beneath Titan 3's calm eyes remained something darker: suppressed pain, dormant rage, a shadow from his past that made even his presence feel like a warning. The room felt colder as the lights flickered, almost as though the building itself feared the name Titan 3. He looked at each operator with silent evaluation, measuring their courage. Without a single spoken judgment, he could see their strength and also their doubt. But he did not blame them. They had not witnessed what he had seen. They had not carried teams on their shoulders as the world collapsed around them. They had not buried brothers in arms in foreign soil while breathing through pain and dust, refusing to die until the mission was complete. One of the younger operators tried masking his intimidation with a smirk. He muttered that the stories were exaggerations, fabricated hero tales told to inspire recruits. Titan 3 heard the comment, but did not react with anger. Instead, He simply turned slightly, letting the young soldier see the damage the wars had carved into him. His prosthetic leg was not a weakness. It was a testament to survival, built for war, reinforced for endurance. No pain could slow him, no fear could stop him. The young operator swallowed hard, realizing this man did not survive because he was lucky. He survived because quitting was never an option for him. The commander handed Titan III a classified mission folder. The aging veteran did not even look inside. He already knew what lay hidden in those pages, coordinates of a fortress held by ruthless mercenaries, the same stronghold, where he once faced destruction and lost an entire team. Years ago, he had walked into that nightmare and returned alone, carrying the names of fallen heroes etched into his heart. The scars on his body were nothing compared to the scars he carried. Inside now, he stood ready to finish what was left the first time and ensure that no team under his watch would ever fall again. The operators were no longer questioning him. They were studying him, trying to understand how a man could lose everything and still stand tall, stronger than Steel Titan. 3 began speaking not with arrogance, but with absolute clarity. He explained the terrain, the guards, the hidden routes, and the silent alarm triggers, every detail recited from memory carved in two. His mind, from when he last escaped the enemy trap, his voice never wavered, his expression never cracked. He spoke with the certainty of someone who knew that hesitation meant death. He told them the enemy did not fear soldiers, they feared Titan III, because he was the nightmare they could never kill. With every word he gained their respect. His presence replaced all uncertainty with resolve. Yet in the depths of his stare there was something else, a flame not of confidence, but of remembrance. A promise he had sworn over the graves of his team he would return, and the enemy would answer for every lost life. The mission briefing concluded with heavy tension, not dread, but anticipation. The operators sat straight, hands clenched, ready to honor the legend standing before them. But Titan III did not see himself as a legend. He saw himself as a man who failed to save those he should have protected, and now he was being given one final chance. As he stepped closer to the briefing screen, the dim lights reflected off the metallic brace of his wounded leg. The joint gleamed like a blade prepared for battle. He declared that this time no one would be left behind. The operators felt something rise inside them, a surge like adrenaline. Mixed with belief, the thought that they could walk into the impossible and come out alive because they would be following someone who did not lose missions. Only brothers, and that pain had transformed him into a relentless force who would rather tear the world apart than fail again. The commander dismissed the briefing. Titan III turned to leave, but paused at the door, looking back at the team that would soon trust him with their lives. His eyes carried the weight of memory and the fire. Of vengeance, he told them quietly to rest and prepare. The enemy was waiting, and war would not show mercy tomorrow. They would step into darkness, but he promised he would be the light guiding them home. Those words were not motivational. They were an oath spoken by a man who would repay the debt of survival with blood and justice. As the door closed behind him, whispers spread through the room once more. This time not of doubt, but awe. They had witnessed a legend resurrected, a soldier who had already proven death could not claim him. Titan III walked the hallway, his steps steady, driven by purpose, every echo, a reminder that fate had called him back for a reason. And tonight he would sharpen his resolve, because tomorrow the ghosts of his past would rise and he would face them without fear. For Titan III had returned, and the world would soon know that silence was not the end. It was only the beginning of the storm. Night settled over the mountains like a silent predator waiting to strike. When Titan III and the Delta Force operators marched toward the helipad, the cold air bit against their skin. But no one complained. The helicopter waited, blades slicing the wind, ready to carry them into the heart of danger. Titan III moved with a determined stride, his prosthetic leg clicking with a rhythm that sounded like a countdown to war. The young operator who once doubted him now walked close behind, drawn by the gravity of a man who turned fear into fuel and pain into strength. As they boarded the aircraft, Titan III paused to scan the dark horizon, his intuition always searching for threats unseen. Then he stepped inside, sealing their fate with silent certainty. The rotors thundered overhead as they rose from the safety of home and plunged into the unknown. Below them, endless forests stretched like an ocean of shadows. The mission was simple on paper, but the paper had never bled. The fortress they were heading toward was carved inside the spine of the mountain, protected by mercenaries who did not negotiate and who never captured prisoners alive. This was the same battlefield where Titan III had once crawled through fire, dragging a fallen comrade until the blast took his leg and every man he swore to protect. He had lived in darkness, tasting dust and blood until rescue found him half dead, but alive enough to remember every scream. Now he would return not as a victim, but as judgment itself. Inside the helicopter, the team checked weapons, and Gear Titan III stood near the open door, letting icy air hit his face. He closed his eyes for a moment, seeing flashes of his lost brothers, their last mission, their last breaths. He reopened his eyes, filled with the promise that no soldier under his command would fall unavenged. A hand tapped his shoulder, the commander asking if he was ready. Titan III nodded. He was more than ready. He had been waiting years for this night. Their descent began silence, replaced the roar as the helicopter hovered above a narrow ridge, surrounded by fog ropes dropped, and the operators slid into darkness. Titan III landed last, his metal legs striking stone with a dull thud. He took point, moving along the ridge path, guiding them through the cold mountain air. Every step reminded him of the night he barely escaped, but he pushed forward because hesitation was a luxury the dead would never have again. They crawled to the edge overlooking the fortress below walls, tall and merciless lights sweeping across the frozen ground. Titan III observed the guard rotations, counting each step. Each pause, he mapped the pattern like a familiar memory. Then, something felt wrong. Security was heavier, more alert, as if the enemy expected company. Titan III raised a clenched fist, signaling halt. He sensed betrayal. Someone had leaked intel, or maybe the enemy never forgot the man who destroyed their plans once before. He directed the team away from the exposed cliffs. Toward a hidden slope covered in razor-sharp rocks, the young operator stumbled, but Titan III caught him, steadying him with surprising strength. He whispered that survival begins with balance of body and mind. The young soldier nodded, eyes full of respect. They reached a service hatch disguised by snow. Titan III crouched and brushed the snow away, revealing the entrance to the same tunnel that had once been his grave and his escape route. This was where his past had tried to bury him, but this time he would walk through it on his own terms. The tunnel swallowed them in darkness, narrow walls scraping against their gear. Cold air leaking from vents above every echo carried the ghosts of Titan III's, memories the tunnel smelled, of dust, metal, and death. The same smell that haunted his nightmares. He pushed forward, determined to turn every haunted step into justice. Ahead, faint voices surfaced, enemy patrol inside the tunnel. Titan III motioned silently. Weapons raised, hearts steady. The takedown was swift and brutal as shadows defeated shadows. Titan III delivered the final strike, his eyes never blinking because mercy did not exist. Here, deeper into the mountain, they moved until they reached a platform overlooking a steel door guarded by cameras and alarms. Titan III explained the layout, pointing out the blind spots he remembered from the night of his team's fall. The young operator stared at him, marveling how a man could memorize hell so precisely. Titan III simply replied that you never forget where your brothers died. The team prepared breaching gear, attaching charges while maintaining silence like ghosts drifting through stone. Suddenly the radio crackled, a chilling voice filling the tunnel. like poison. Titan 3. Welcome home. The enemy commander who led the ambush years ago. The monster responsible for his loss. The man Titan 3 believed dead, taunted them through the speakers like a snake, tasting fear the operators glanced at. Titan 3, seeing his jaw tighten, his eyes narrowing into the gaze of a predator about to strike. His calm turned into something darker, not rage but purpose, sharpened to a blade. The enemy commander continued speaking, laughing about the team Titan. 3 had lost, mocking their sacrifice Titan. 3 stepped closer to the radio, pressing a finger against the comm button, and whispered that he had returned for every soul stolen in that fire. His whisper carried more threat than any shouted anger. The enemy went silent. Briefly, perhaps remembering the unstoppable force Titan 3 had been before his injury, perhaps realizing he had awakened a storm that could not be controlled. The operators lined up ready to breach Titan. 3 placed his hand against the cold steel door, not in hesitation, but in remembrance. He felt the weight of the mission to protect the living and honor the dead. He turned to his team and nodded. The countdown began, each second heavier than the last. 3, 2, 1. The charge detonated, shaking the tunnel as the door burst open and the team surged forward. Weapons raised, boots pounding into the unknown Titan. 3 was first through the breach, leading without fear, because fear had already taken everything. It could from him ahead. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and enemy soldiers rushed into chaos. But Titan 3 welcomed the chaos he was built from. Chaos. This mission was not only survival, it was redemption. And the enemies who stole his brothers were about to learn that legends do not die. They return with fire in their veins and justice in their hands. Alarms echoed through the steel corridors as Titan 3 and the Delta Force operators stormed forward, rifles raised, boots slamming against concrete. The enemy unleashed gunfire, but Titan 3 moved like a force reborn, each step powered by the memory of those he lost, his metal legs striking sparks as he charged through the hail of bullets. He watched his team take positions with precision and discipline, proving they deserved to stand by his side. He signaled them to fan out, clearing each sector, while he advanced toward the core of the fortress where the enemy commander waited like a spider clinging to its web of lies and cruelty. Inside, a reinforced chamber, hostages cowered behind cages, their eyes filled with fear and hope colliding. Titan 3 ordered 2 operators to free them, while the rest established a defensive line. The hostages included captured intelligence officers, who confirmed the nightmare that this facility was preparing weapons capable of igniting global conflict. Titan 3 vowed quietly that such evil would never reach daylight again. The young operator from earlier now covered Titan 3's flank, showing courage he once questioned in himself. Titan 3 felt a sense of pride for this new generation of warriors rising beside him, ready to bleed for what was right. The veteran pushed deeper into the fortress, following a voice over the intercom, dripping with mockery and venom. The enemy commander taunted him again, calling him a broken relic of war, a survivor, not a hero, asking how it felt to crawl out alive while everyone else died. Titan 3 ignored the words, but his heart burned every syllable, reminding him that his return was not only duty, it was judgment rendered by a soldier forged in loss. He swore that no more ghosts would follow him out of this place. The path led him to an elevator shaft with cables dangling and sparks falling into the abyss below. No time for hesitation. Titan 3 clenched one cable with his remaining hand and slid down rapidly. The metal scraped against his gloves as gravity pulled him toward destiny. He landed hard, knee and steel leg slamming onto the lower deck, but he rose instantly, because pain was just another ghost trying to slow him, and he had conquered enough ghosts for a lifetime. The chamber ahead opened into a massive underground command center, screens glowing red with maps, and weapon schematics, soldiers flooded the area, but they were too late. Titan III unleashed fury with focused fire. Every target dropped before they could raise their rifles. He moved like a storm, unending, unstoppable, every forward motion a tribute. To the fallen voices that once called him brother, as each enemy fell, he whispered inside his mind that this was for them, for every friend buried in silence and earth. Finally, the command center cleared and a blast door slid open, revealing the enemy. Commander standing on a platform surrounded by flickering lights and cables, the man's cold smile stretched thin as he clapped slow and mocking, pretending amusement. He said Titan III should have stayed dead because legends only disappoint when seen alive. Titan III stepped closer, leg still strong, spirit still burning. And he told the enemy not with words, but with the look of a warrior who had buried doubt long ago, that he was not here to impress anyone. He was here to finish what fate once interrupted. The enemy drew a blade, not for honor, but to savor cruelty. He lunged, but Titan III blocked with the steel of his prosthetic leg. The clash echoed like thunder. Then Titan III countered with raw strength, driven by every lost life. The blade clattered to the floor. The enemy stumbled, yet reached for a pistol. Titan III was faster. His hand clamped the villain's wrist, twisting until bones snapped. A scream tore through the chamber, but Titan III felt no satisfaction. He simply ended the threat with swift finality because justice was not rage. Justice was duty delivered without hesitation. The enemy collapsed breath, fading eyes wide in disbelief that the man he thought broken was the one who stood victorious. Titan III leaned close, whispering a promise meant only for the dying that his fallen team could finally rest. The commander took his final breath and silence reclaimed the room. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of closure earned through sacrifice. And unstoppable will Titan III turned toward the exit alarms, still blaring. The fortress preparing to collapse from the automated failsafes triggered during the breach. He sprinted back through the corridors, guiding his team and the hostages toward the extraction point. Explosions rocked the walls, flames chasing their heels. The young operator stumbled again, but Titan III lifted him without slowing his stride, proving that strength was not measured by limbs, but by heart. The helicopter hovered. Ahead, its lights slicing through smoke. The team loaded the hostages first, then operators climbed in. Titan III ensured everyone was aboard before stepping toward the ramp, but a beam above broke loose, crashing down with thunder. The world shook. The ramp lurched, and Titan III pushed the nearest soldier forward, yelling silently with his eyes for them to go. The helicopter crew screamed for him to jump, but the collapsing structure pulled him back bar.